So what's up, everybody? Welcome to Speedy's Garage. We're obviously in GoManGo today. You saw us install the ID1000 injectors last week, and literally the very next day, Mike sent a tune revision. I emailed him and said, hey, injectors are in. He said, I need to send you a tune. Look for it in the morning. Sure enough, it was in my inbox the next morning. We've dropped it in the car, and keep in mind that when you put new injectors in a car, it changes the fueling quite a bit. And so when I first fired it up, make sure you're outside or whatever, you fire it up. It kind of coughed and stumbled a little bit because the car's having to figure out the new fueling. There are sensors all over the car, the wide bands, and all of that kind of tell the car to trim the fueling, and so that it gets it set so that it's running optimally. I think that's a word, optimally. And it took it a minute to figure that out. So it started off, the air fuel on the dash here was pretty rich. I was seeing some smoke come out of the back. I just kind of waited and let it sort it out. And once it figured it out, it stabilized up to around 13.3 to 13.7, started kind of bouncing back and forth between there. I started keeping an eye on the fuel trims on the data logger and watched those kind of stabilize. And then I just went and did some street driving. Just drove around in the city, nice and easy, to let the car kind of get used to everything again. I probably did that for about 30 minutes just to make sure everything was good to go. And one of the things I've been working with Mike on is keeping the Hellcat stock drivability. So now that we're running, this pulley's making 16 pounds of boost now, I wanted to make sure that in 500 horsepower mode or eco mode, it still reacted the same way it did stock. And so I had done some data logs stock, and basically what it does in those modes is it cuts the boost off at about 50%. Well, 50% of 11 pounds is about 5 or 5.5 pounds. 50% of 16 pounds is like 8 or 9 pounds. So he went in and made a couple of tweaks, and now we're hovering right around that 5 PSI mark in eco mode and 500 horsepower mode. It feels very natural. It feels just like it did stock. Only when you are in 700 horsepower mode, or I guess now we should probably call it 800 horsepower mode. I'm speculating we picked up about 100 horsepower, and you get on the gas. It was fast before, but it is freaky fast now. It feels like 3/4 throttle is the same as wide open throttle was before. And so now wide open throttle, like the back end at 100 miles an hour, is kind of skitting around a little bit. And I've got 555R Nittos on the back of this car, drag radials, and it's still kind of struggling for traction a little bit. And the speed comes on so fast for this big of a car. It's hard to describe. You're doing 100 and something miles an hour. I don't want to say you're doing 100 miles an hour, and you don't feel like you are because it happens so fast. And so we're out just data logging this new revision. I'll send it to Mike, let him do a review, and then we'll slowly dial it in. And this is one of those things that I really like about Mike. He is super detailed. And so when he sends me a revision back, he will bullet point exactly what he changed so that me as the driver, I can pay attention to how the car feels and give him feedback. He wants to know, does it feel sluggish? Does the throttle feel natural? Does it feel like the throttle comes on too early? Does it feel like it comes on too late? And so I can give him those details, and he will go in and set the car up exactly the way I want it to be. Now, you may want it different than I like it. And that's what's really nice about a custom tune, especially from someone like Mike at OST Dyno. He doesn't do cookie cutter. He'll ask me, do you like this? Do you like that? I can tweak this, I can tweak that. And the tune in the car is literally set up for my driving style, and it helps you really become more one with the vehicle when all the electronics are set up around the way you like to drive the car. It's how they work on race cars. They set the race cars up and the race motorcycles up to work with the driver or with the pilot. And so it's kind of nice knowing you got that level of customizability. Is that a word? No idea, but I'm going to use it. Customizability in your tune, and it makes the car more for you specifically. And we're dialing it in, really having a good time doing it. Obviously, we're going out to a closed course when we're doing any wide open throttle runs to make sure that we're meeting and not exceeding any posted speed limits. So now I'm just going to cruise back through town, get one more little just driving around log to make sure all the fuel trims and everything look like they're supposed to. And then I will be emailing this off to Mr. Mike at OST Dyno. Now we're just going to ease around. And just like last time, we're going to make a couple of short, quick pulls. We're going to data log to make sure that everything's good to go. And that was pretty quick. We literally just put the injectors in last night, and Mike already has the revision back to us today. So we're going to see how we do. It acted a little funny when it fired up. had to let the car kind of adjust to its new fuel delivery and get the short-term and long-term fuel trims kind of dialed in for that. Now we're just gonna make a little burst here. Wow, that felt pretty good. That felt pretty strong. Air fuel looked good. Kept a close eye on that. Again, you always want to make sure you keep an eye on air fuel ratio and short-term knock when you're doing these little quick tests. So that was just a quick little burst from about 2,200 up to about 6,000. So we want to review our log and see where we're at. And when you're working on something like this, you really need to pick a tuner that you trust, especially if you're going to do email tuning. I've said before, Mike is very, very good at email tuning. It makes it nice because I don't have to worry about trying to get my car to him or shipping it or driving it up there. He's about 11 hours from me, and so that would be labor intensive to do that. So he can do it email tuning, and you have to pay attention to data logging. He sets you up with a file, like I've said before, that makes it super easy. Put it on your laptop, plug it up, hit record, go drive the car like he tells you to, hit stop, hit save, and you email it to him. And other than the car being right there with him where he can hear it and smell it and see the exhaust, it's about as good as you can get to him actually being here with you. Now, there is another option that he offers. If you have a dyno locally, most dyno shops will let you rent time on their dyno. And so you could take your car in, they strap it down, they put a laptop in the car with you, and Mike will remote in to that laptop and start tuning the car remotely while the car is on a dyno where you are, which is pretty cool. I think he even has a little deal where you can see him and talk to him, and maybe some of the guys in the shop, if you're at a dyno shop, they can say, yeah, the exhaust smells like this or looks like that. This is what it sounds like, and help him dial that car in. That's an option as well. I've never gone that route because I kind of like the data logging, and I always think, or I've always felt, that a road tune is about the best tune you can get because it's the car actually driving on the road. So personally, I like to dial the car in, at least from a drivability perspective, on the road. Now, a lot of people think tuning, they just want power and it's wide open throttle on the dyno. That's about that much of your tuning, actually. The majority of your tuning is how the car feels driving around in traffic, taking off from stoplights, reverse. That's a big one that people get messed up a lot. All those tables in the tune have to kind of work together. And one of the really good things Mike always seems to be able to accomplish is he keeps the car driving just like it did stock. And my old car, Orange Crush, was no different. We tuned that one 100% email. And eventually we were at Challenger Fest and had a dyno on site, and Mike happened to be there. So we threw the car on the dyno just out of curiosity, and we did not make a single change. Not one change from what he had done via email. The only thing he did was he looks at me and says, I can turn it up. I can turn it up if you want me to. And I'm like, for running around on 93 on the street, it's fast, it's plenty fast. Now, I'd like a race tune. Let's hook up with a race tune and make it go as fast as it can possibly go, and that's what we did. But literally, we didn't make a single change on that dyno that day, and so that kind of showed me how effective email tuning can be, and it's also cost effective as well. And one tip Mike from OST Dyno gave me is if you're going to load up a new tune that has anything to do with the fueling, you want to come into your VCM scanner. You're going to go to the green button here, which is Vehicle Controls and Special Functions, and you want to reset all adaptives. So I want to flip the ignition to the on position and go OK. And what that does is that resets your long-term and short-term fuel trims, and it'll help the car learn the changes much more quickly. And it should provide for an easier startup, the first startup after a tune change like this. So I thought I'd show you in a data log how you can know when you're running out of injector. So this is a 4th gear pull. We're at about 6,000 RPM. And you can see injector duty cycle says 97.1%. You really don't want that to ever go above 80%. So that's the first clue. Second, you look down here, you see injector pulse width. That one's about 19. You never want that really to go over about 16. So we were definitely running out of injector on the stock injectors. Let's look at the ID1000s. Same 4th gear pull, same RPM. You see now injector duty cycle is only 54%. and our pulse width is about 11. So we actually have quite a bit of overhead with these ID1000 injectors, and they definitely solved our fueling issue. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. That helps me get these videos out into the YouTube algorithm out there in Vapor World, where more people will see them. It helps me get more subscribers, and I appreciate those of you that do that. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. I always like to get new subscribers. Leave me comments. Let me know what you thought about the content. If you have questions, I'll try to answer those as well. I check it 3 or 4 times a day, so if I don't respond to you right away, be patient. I answer just about every question that there is. And finally, check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedy's_garage, as well as our website, www.speedysgarage.net, and I'll be seeing you out there.